Namaskaram. Hello and welcome, hardworking individuals. Today, we are going to talk about the Prime Minister of India who reduced the voting age from 21 to 18. The Prime Minister of India who was attacked in Colombo, but he saved himself. The Prime Minister of India who, on the 100th anniversary of Indian National Congress, openly criticized his own ministers and the civil servants, saying very famously that if the center sends 1 rupee to the citizens, only 15 to 20 paise reaches to the citizens. Rest is taken up in the corruption by the ministers and the civil servants. The Prime Minister of India, who very famously introduced the computers and the telecom sector to India, and the people back then were very much apprehended that computers will take the jobs away. And also the Prime Minister of India, who was brave enough to conduct Operation Cactus in Maldives. Yes, we are talking about none other but Rajiv Gandhi. So let's continue this and let's see the foreign policy of Rajiv Gandhi. So when we are talking about Rajiv Gandhi at that time, it is the time of the Cold War, and there is this US and Soviet tensions getting very high. The Reagan administration in the United States pursued aggressive anti-Soviet stance at that time, and also Soviet under the leadership of Mikhail Gorbachev is practicing glasnost and perestroika, something which talks about openness as well as reforms. The period saw the non alignment movement facing unprecedented challenges, and as the Cold War dynamics intensified, questioning its relevance. So, we are going to see, but what was happening in India at that time? At that time, we will see that Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her Sikh bodyguard on October 31st, 1984. And this was the time of tensions in India. And there were Sikh rights also. That is something that we'll be discussing when we'll discuss India after independence. But right now, we have to talk from the basis of the foreign policies and international relation. So Rajiv Gandhi at that time thrust into the leadership during the crisis, and it was the time aftermath of the Operation Blue Star, which we have already discussed in our last class. If you have not seen that, please go and see that, where we have discussed about Indira Gandhi's second tenure as Prime Minister. Now, he assumed the title of the Prime Minister at age 40, and he was a surprise package for everyone. Now, what was the feature of Rajiv Gandhi's foreign policy? It was very same of what was of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi. The fundamental principles of non-alignment and strategic autonomy are continuing, and also he will be continuing the visions of the new world order that is really very important. Now, when we see the emphasis on modernization and the global engagement, then we'll see a distinguished feature of foreign policy was its integration with modernization. And he will also promote science and technology, that is, as an instrument of both domestic development as well as for the internal cooperation, recognition, and the potential to transform India's global standing. When we talk about the relations with the major powers, so we'll start with the United States. Obviously, it will start with cautious rapprochement. You must remember that till now we have seen US and India has not come into proper terms, and there was this nuclear test done by Indira Gandhi, which also soured the relations. But nonetheless, his landmark visit to United States in June 1985 resulted in significant agreements that we'll see, and there were also memorandum of understanding on technology transfer and cooperation in defense as well. However, we see that nuclear policy remained a contentious issue still. Gandhi had frank discussions with President Reagan on nuclear proliferation, with both leaders acknowledging progress in the bilateral trade, and the relationship was complicated by India's refusal to sign the NPT. NPT has been something that we have seen that time and again India has denied to sign. What about the Soviet Union at that time? The Indo-Soviet relationship reached new heights during Rajiv Gandhi's tenure, despite there was some initial concern about his Western oriented approach. Gandhi's first state visit to abroad was the Soviet Union in May 1985, where he signed two long-term economic agreements with his partner Mikhail Gorbachev there. The visit also followed by Gorbachev's reciprocal visit to New Delhi in late 1986, which demonstrated the continued importance of the Indo-Soviet partnership in Indian foreign policy. The relationship was characterized by substantial arms transfer. India received advanced military equipment, including MiG 27 aircraft at that time. There were some naval vessels and nuclear powered submarine. INS Chakra on lease was also given to India at that time. What about the China? There was some historic breakthrough, and what was that? The most significant diplomatic achievement of Rajiv Gandhi's foreign policy was his historic visit to China in December 1988 that marked the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister in 34 years. This ice-breaking visit, as Chinese diplomats later termed it, represented a fundamental shift in Sino-Indian relations after decades of hostility following the 1962 border war. Okay, Gandhi is meeting with Chinese leaders including Deng Xiaoping, Li Peng, and Yang Sang-kun resulted in important agreement at that time. So that was China. What about the regional diplomacy if we see? So in Sri Lanka, we have this IPKF. What is IPKF? Please comment. I'll tell you what it is, but if you know, please comment. So the Indo-Sri Lanka Accord of July 29, 1987 signed between Rajiv Gandhi and Sri Lankan President J.R. Jayawardene represented one of the most controversial aspects of Gandhi's foreign policy. The accord aimed to resolve the Sri Lankan civil war by providing autonomy to Tamil majority areas and designating them. Now, the deployment of Indian peacekeeping force, that is IPKF in Sri Lanka, initially intended as a peacekeeping mission, soon became embroiled in active combat with the LTT. What is LTT? Liberation Tamil Tiger Elam. Okay. Now, please understand what it is. In brief, I'll try to explain you. So, when Britishers were there in India, they took Tamilians to Sri Lanka. Okay, forcefully they took them as indentured labor to work there. Now, those Tamilians, along with the Sri Lankan natives are called Sinhalese. Now, both the Tamilians and Sinhalese afterwards started to have conflicts among them. Now, Sri Lankan government asked Indian government to help them to get away from those Tamilians. Okay, those Tamil militants, whatever you want to call them, that was Liberation Tiger of Tamil Elam, LTTE. And for that, this Indian peacekeeping force was sent. But to remind you, it was one of the bad decisions that you can say, because it resulted in the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi, the very same as Operation Blue Star resulted in the assassination of Indira Gandhi that we have seen. So the force which is at peak comprised nearly 80,000 personnel from 4 divisions. And also we will see this intervention, often compared to America's Vietnam experience, became known as India's Vietnam and significantly impacted Gandhi's political standing. So if it is asked what was India's Vietnam, please always remember that it was India's peacekeeping force in Sri Lanka. What about Pakistan? With Pakistan, the mixed relationships are going on. Gandhi reciprocated Pakistan President Ziaul Haq 1987 visit to Delhi, and he will visit there when Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto will be there, and the reaffirmation of 1972 Simla Agreement will be there. However, there is one tension that you should know about over the Siachen Glacier, where India launched Operation Rajiv in 1987 to recapture the Quaid post for Pakistan forces, and the successful operation led by Naib Subedar Bana Singh, who received the Paramveer Chakra, demonstrated India's military resolve in defending its territorial claims. Now, this is the first time that we are seeing the foundation of South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation. Yes, it's SARC. The first SARC summit held in Dhaka on December 7-8, 1985 saw Gandhi as one of the founding signatories alongside leaders from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, and Maldives. Gandhi's approach to SARC emphasized keeping contentious bilateral issues of the agenda while focusing on areas of multilateral cooperation, and this is also one of the things that goes into his achievement. Now about Operation Cactus in Maldives. So November 1988, there was this Operation Cactus. What was this? So under Rajiv Gandhi's leadership, when Maldivian President M.A. Gayoom requested assistance against by a coup attempt by Sri Lankan mercenaries and Maldivian dissidents, the operation involved all 3 services of the Indian military with paratroopers from the 50th Independent Parachute Brigade landing at Hulhule Airport within 9 hours of the distress call. Now, this was something which was seen as India's capacity for rapid military intervention in support of regional stability. What about the nuclear policy and disarmament? So, nuclear program and non-proliferation stance was the very same what was being continued by Indira Gandhi back then. And we'll also see that there are some good serious consideration of weaponization with experts like K. Subramaniam arguing for a nuclear weapon program at that time. When we talk about Rajiv Gandhi Action Plan for Disarmament, this is very famous. You should know about Gandhi's most significant contribution was his presentation of action plan for a nuclear weapon free and non-violent world order in UN General Assembly on June 9, 1988. So this was a proposal which remains only detailed disarmament plan ever presented by a head of government of the UN, and he talked about the world free of arms at that time. Well, that was not to be, we can see, but it was a good step taken by him. Now, advocacy for global equity, and what about the NAM leadership? So when we see that global advocacy, so Gandhi's approach to multilateral diplomacy emphasized India's traditional advocacy for disarmament, and he sought to strengthen India's voice in international forums while adapting to the changing dynamics of the Cold War. We also see NAM leadership despite challenges, although non-aligned movement faced questions about its relevance in the changing global context of the late 1980s. Gandhi maintained India's leadership role with the organization, and his administration worked to redefine non-alignment relevance in addressing contemporary global challenges while preserving its core principle independence. Now, what about the technology and globalization outlook? So, as I've already said you, Rajiv Gandhi's foreign policy was closely integrated with his vision of technological modernization. He established the Center for the Development of Telematics, that is CDOT, in 1984, and appointed Sam Pitroda as advisor of National Technology Mission in 1987, that focused on the telecommunication, literacy, health, and the rural development of that time. Now, when we talk about the International Partnership for Modernization, Gandhi actively sought international partnership to support India's technological advancement, including cooperation agreements with various countries in areas ranging from space technology to computer sciences. And his approach recognized that technological progress required both domestic innovation as well as international collaboration. Okay. Now, what about his achievements? So, Rajiv Gandhi's foreign policy advised several significant breakthroughs that would have lasting impact on India's international relations. The normalization of relation with China through his 1988 visit created a foundation for future bilateral trades. His leadership in establishing SAARC is something that we should know. And also the successful Operation Quactus demonstrated India's capacity for regional crisis management. The challenges or the limitation was his foreign policy of IPKF intervention in Sri Lanka, that is questionable. Operations failure to undermine India's regional credibility at that time, limited success in improving US-India relations at that time, and the differences in Cold War dynamics that was happening, and also the continuation of India-Pakistan hostility exemplified by the Siachen conflict of that time. So this was then overall foreign policy of Rajiv Gandhi. What do you think about it? Comment. And also, if you're preparing for an examination, this is the question for it. You can pause the video and you can see the question and answers. And also, if you want this PDF for free, guys, you can join our Telegram channel, official Telegram channel of Shikara Academy. And also, if you have any question, you can call us on this number. Any question regarding the preparation, you can ask to any of the educator and we will answer for free. Yes, it is for free. You will not be charged for it. So you can go through this slides and you can go take this PDF for free. Also, you can call us for your questions. Also, guys, if you're preparing for UPSC, TSPSC or APPSC for one-on-one live mentorship by Deepika ma'am, you can join the mentorship program. Here, you will get one-on-one hand holding by the mentors, and that will be helpful for your exam preparation. Believe me, it is very helpful because every topper has a mentor. So we'll meet again. If you subscribe, thank you so much. Today or tomorrow, you will be successful. Namaskar.